Alrighty, welcome back. We're on air, and I'll do a little jig for you because this is the part that no one likes. No one likes putting body fill on, that's for sure. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a little fiberglass on first. Jolene asked me to do a little jig for you, and I said, okay, baby, I will. But anyways, what I'm going to do is put a little fiberglass on first, then I'm going to put some body fill on. This is the job that no one likes, and I'm going to explain and show how I do it. You take what you like, throw what you don't like away. And if you don't like anything, regard it. And if you like some of it, take it. So all I'm saying is, on the welded seams, we got the door welded shut. We got the pieces welded on the top. We got the piece welded on top of the door. We ground it off. We did not grind off all the weld because I want integrity left in that weld. Basically, where the metal is like this, I was able to grind all the weld off flush with this metal. But where it's overlapped like that and it's coming down a little bit, I did not dig into this metal, the door metal, to accommodate what we have done. So what's going to happen is I'm going to fiberglass that seam. There's some holes that have been welded shut by the previous person. They get a little grinder happy. I'm not there, but we're gonna fill them and make them look right. We're going to fiberglass them, and basically what I'm saying is that I generally run fiberglass over every weld spot that I have before I fill it. And the reason I run the fiberglass auto body reinforced filler over it first is because I'm thinking that I'm getting a little bit more protection, a little more strength. If there's any, you have to understand, if there's any pinholes at all in body fill or the metal work at all, if you're getting water in behind it or moisture in behind it, it can pop it off. Like there's no stopping it. But the fiberglass reinforced body filler, I'm thinking that it's just a little bit stronger, and they say it's waterproof, so that's all I'm doing it for. I've got a couple places here that have I've already mixed it up and put some on. There was some rust there. I thought it was a hole, but it was not. It was just rust coming through the filler. Aiden welded the spot up there for the marker light. There's a place here he welded up for the gas tank door. We're going to fiberglass those first. All the seams will be fiberglassed all the way around, and that's what we're going to do. And basically, this is what I'm saying. I live in Kingsport all my life. In Kingsport, the water goes in and the water goes out. When the water goes out and you see the ocean floor, which this is the ocean floor, it does not look that good. There's bumps and rocks and stuff like that. And I guess this would be the bumps and the rocks and the stuff like that, the dirt that don't look good. When the water comes in and there's no weather, it's got a flood on, you can't see nothing. It's just like a glass of ice. Glass of ice. Glass of water, just as smooth as anything. You know what I'm trying to say. It's smooth when it's flooded over. So basically what I do is I put my fiberglass filler on the places I want first for where my weld seams are. And then I will cover it over with my filler. And then I would try to sand it down until I find the ocean floor. This filler, all this stuff here is done by, well, this stuff here I done because it had holes on the side of the car where they welded up before. They never got to finish them. And I finished filling it out. This is the filler from before. I didn't dig it out. I'm hoping that it's okay. I'm just going with it. I'm not digging it out. I'm not restoring this car. I'm just trying to make a car out of it. So basically, I've taken some of the fill out. I took and stripped the trunk lid and got the rust off it so we can deal with it. I got this side. Got the rust off this side, and I got some filler put on it. And where I see fiberglass, I know it's close. And where I see metal, I know it's the ocean floor. So fiberglass, 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 fiberglass. I know that I'm really, really close. And you generally want that fiberglass on there for a reason. You want it to cover your weld seam. So basically that's what, every time I sand the filler, I'm looking for fiberglass, or I'm looking for the ocean floor, or I'm looking for the right shape. This fender was already filled out, and I just kind of put a little over top to buff it off and make it look a little better. Seam of the door is not done yet. I have to weld that shut yet, weld the bottom of the door shut yet. Got this filled out, got some fiberglass on there, got metal, 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 fiberglass, metal. Basically, that's the shape I want, so I left it. On the door, it was filled out and done before. All I did is dug out the rust places and filled it back in again. When I dug out the rust, I put in some fiberglass, reinforced body filler. Then I just went over top with the filler again. I got the holes on the side of the fender. I fiberglassed them first, and then it wasn't holes, the welded up holes, I'm sorry. I fiberglassed first, knocked them down with the DA, and then I put the body filler on it. Then I sand it to the ocean floor. I got metal, I got metal, I got metal, I got metal. So I'm basically where I'm at, where I should be. Got the rust peeled off the front. Got the rust peeled off the front, and did it with the stripper wheel. Got the rust peeled off the cowl. Basically just trying to get all the rust off it so I can continue on. We're not welding this in yet because I want to be able to, if I want to be able to get into the car, I can pull this out without opening the doors right now. I sort of want to fill everything together. If Jolene comes back, you can really get a good visual of what the car is going to look like with the coupe looking bum on it and the small roof. It's going to be, believe it or not, it's going to be a looker. Alrighty, let's go on the other side and start this process, and I'll show you what's going on or how I'm going to do it. When I grind this off, I try to, like I said, I try not to grind the metal here. I just try to grind the weld, and it's just taking your time and being careful. I do a lot of the grinding with a 1/8 grinder disc. I kind of just rub over top of the weld, and you can see where it's hitting. As soon as you start to hit the car, I get away from it, right? I try not to hit the car because that's the metal that I want. So I just kind of rub it over top, and then I go to a flapper wheel, and then I can sand the scratches or the dig marks out of it. And then sometimes I go to a zip cut and I kind of feather it off so it feels good. I will show the grinding process. I'll do the roof, and I'll show my grinding process on that roof part, just so everybody can see and watch and see if they like, and throw away what you don't like. But basically I'm going to throw on some fiberglass. It's called fiberglass. I call it fiberglass, but it's reinforced body filler. This is what it looks like when it comes out of the can. It's really thick, like it's like muck. It's really thick and dense. It's really hard to mix that up and throw a nice little skim on something, because I don't want a whole bunch on there. I just want to skim it and make it lay down nice. And what I do is I mix a little bit of fiberglass resin with it. This is polyester resin. I mix that with it, and it smooths it out a little bit. It thins it down a little bit, makes it easier to work with. A lot of people have thanked us for showing them that trick. I'm glad that you like it, and if you don't like it, don't use it, basically. I'm just going to mix a little bit in there. It does not make it hard. It doesn't do anything but other than make it, thins it down. And I'm going to thin it down first before I use it. Jolene looks amazing today. Geez, I woke up 2 o'clock this morning. Here she was looking at her phone, working, mind you. 2 o'clock in the morning, working. I said, "What's wrong, baby?" She said, "I can't sleep." I said, "Right on." So she goes to her working. She's my lady. So we'll just thin it down a little bit. You can see how it's getting a little bit thinner, and the more I mix of that, the thinner I can get it. And the reason I want to thin it down, basically, because I don't want to take a whole bunch of time or I don't want to put a block of thick fiberglass on there and then have to grind it all off. I want to lay something on there I don't have to grind off. I want to lay it on nice, so I don't have to grind it off. Just like I said, I will rub over it with a big DA, with a 40 grit once in a while, and I'll show you how I do that. This is the job that not many people get much credit for, and it's a job that you have to work, I guess. You have to work. It's kind of you have to pay attention what you're doing. And what can I say? Most times when I'm doing this, I put on more than I need because you're sanding it off. And if you do not put more on than you need, well, that means that you're going to be coming back and mixing more, basically. But on this car, I have found that they flooded the car out, but they didn't go back down to the ocean floor in places. And it makes for more than you need. So I like to go back, I like to try to find the ocean floor or the fiberglass at all times. Then you know that you're at your thinnest point. If you do not try to sand down to your ocean floor, then you probably have more than you need on. That's basically what I'm saying. This is quite thick. I got this. Just going to put a little bit in the holes here. Not holes, but yes, they're holes. They are where they welded the holes up for the trim. I took a DA and sanded the primer. And the reason I sanded the primer is because I want everything to stick. It's just like Jolene's nails. She wants her nails to stay on. She makes sure she sands the nail before she puts the fake nail on. That's the key of making your nails stay on. Sand them. Just trying to get that weld seam. Might as well get it now as I'm running along there. There's a few places that I haven't welded up yet, and I'll weld them up and just grind the filler back a little bit, and then I will continue on. And basically what I'm using this for is strength, obviously for filling, and just to make sure everything stays where it should. Just want to haul that up over there. So I want that fiberglass to go in that ledge where it's welded on. That's what I want. I want that to go in there in case we have any issues, which I don't think we will. It's up kind of high to have issues. And what I mean is pretty high for moisture and water to get in there. You'd have to, not sure what would have to happen for that to get in there. I think that would be good for a lifetime up in there, but you never know. And that's basically why we put this stuff on, because you never know. And it's a good start. I'm trying to get it on there just as thin as I can to get the protection that we need, and it's a good start. So everything is sanded. And put some more on. Always clean your squeegee off before you go at it again, and the reason being is if you stick it in your bucket, it's going to go hard. Just want to get rid of it. I'm going to use it anyway, so I might as well get rid of it on there. So I do not generally like to sand this stuff, this fiberglass reinforced filler. I generally don't like to sand it. What I'll probably end up doing is coming over and coating the filler right over top of it. I might knock a little bit of it off with the DA, maybe a couple little ridges that it shows. But I generally like to leave it on there because it's on there for a reason. And the reason is to try to hold out any moisture, if anything, that could attack the backside of the filler, which we have tried to weld it up the best we can. That's what I mean. We welded up the best we could, or Aiden did, weld the best he could with no pinholes. And that's why we put the one spot and one spot over top the other spot, because we want it to We want it to have a seam where it looks like it's got no pinholes, where we look like we got no pinholes going on. So we just, basically that's what we want. But then we're going the next step further, and we're using that fiberglass filler to hope that nothing ever happens. And what I'm saying, it probably will not. So I'm just going to thin it out again, put a little more on. Sort of trying to make sure that I keep my squeegee tight down on the material as I go back and forth instead of flopping it all over all the time. Trying to get less pinholes in it, like Jimbo said. Just trying something different. Just holding it down a little closer. Old habits are hard to break sometimes. Old habits are hard to break sometimes. So just keep reminding yourself, I guess. There should be enough hardener. It's supposed to be 3% from what I understand. So if I split this in half, that would be 50. If I split it in half again, that'd be 25. And I split it again, you 12 and a half. You kind of get it, what I'm saying for the hardener, the amount of hardener that they want you to use or recommend it, I think is 3%. And I just put enough in so it changes color, and then you know you have it. Back where we left off. Got my hand in it first thing. Stuff's hard to get off. Yeah, I can say this is probably the only job, well, not say the only job, but this is the job that most people don't like. Some do, I guess, maybe. I was talking to Aiden the other day, and I told him, I said, some people don't like ice cream, Aiden. He goes, how'd you know I don't like ice cream? I said, wow, there is people that don't like ice cream. I thought it was just a saying. Trying to get in that seam there. And all the metal was sanded with the DA, with the 40 grit. Oh, just a second. And this. So everything will stick. I think I already said that. That's the old filler that was there right beside the gas cover door. Lay it on there smooth, trying to. Da, 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 da. On a seam like that, you don't need very much, obviously, so I just kind of push it down on there. We've got all this seam to weld up along here, so I'm not going to go up too far. I'll probably go up to about here. That's about the end of it. Then we'll weld that up after. Where I'm doing the seam of the door, if I make it too thin, it'll run away on me. So I'm just going to give it a little bit. Just, I don't know if it's a little bit or what, but what I mean by run away on me, if I get it too thin, it won't be going in the hole where I want it to go. It'll run away on me. So I'm just going to not going to thin this one out too much. I want it a little bit thicker. And you can adjust that to the job that you're doing, what you want to do. If you want to fill with it, leave it a little bit thicker. If you want to cover the weld with it, thin it down a little bit. So this one I wanted to do both. I want to fill and cover the weld. It's raining here today. You can make it a lot thinner than that. You can leave it thicker than that. You can adjust it with whatever you like. Want that on there for strength and filling. See a spot back here, it looks pretty cruddy. I'll put some on it. Just kind of pushing it into the place where I want it. Don't be scared to get your fingers in it. Don't be scared to get your fingers in it. Alrighty. Want a little bit more fill over here where the gas cover door is. Alrighty. It's good enough for that. Now that we got the seams filled, I'm going to take the 40 grit. It's warm in here. I'm going to take the 40 grit on the DA and just knock the heads off of this. And you can tell it's pretty smooth looking. It's smoothed out quite nicely. And I'll knock that off, flatten it out, and get it the shape the best I can for that area. We're not wanting, we don't want much in there. We just want a little tiny bit. I'm going to hold the DA flat so it'll show me what's going on. I do not want to take it down. When I hit the weld, I don't want to go past that. I mean, that's the end. The ocean floor is the end. As soon as I start hitting metal, that's the end. You don't want to go any further than that, because you can't unless you want to sand through it or beat it down and put more in it. And I'm not generally into beating it down and putting more in it. I generally like to leave it where it's at. Alrighty, fiberglass. We're going to take the DA. I got a little bit that's going on there that was dry before. Like I said, I got some welding to do here. I got to weld the door into this here, and I got to figure out how to put the fender skirts back on. They got a pin back here. It's got a clip up here, and I'm going to probably weld a bolt on that, and then I can bolt it in, put my hand on the inside, and nut it on. But I fiberglassed it anyways. I want to finish the door off, and like I told Aiden, he was welding up the door, and I said, just clean back a little ways, then weld the door up, and let the filler and the primer and all that area be as insulation to keep it cool. Because if you start grinding it all the way back, then you're giving all that metal a chance to take off on you. With the filler and stuff on it, it'll soak up some of the heat and it doesn't go anywhere. So I don't mind having filler close by where I'm welding, because I use it as an insulator. And basically what it does, it absorbs some of the heat so you don't have any issues. He welded that door up and never warped it a bit, because I'm thinking of the insulation of the filler and the primer and all that stuff. It let it stay in place. So I'm going to take and grab a pad over here for a minute. I like to do all my body work with this bad boy. If I can, if I'm able to, I like to start all my body work with this stuff. It's 40-80 prime, 40-80 prime. So I like to 40 grit on this and rub that fiberglass off. Like I said, I generally don't like to sand it, but I am going to take the heads off it and just see where it's at. And what I'll do is I'll take it down to the primer, and that's basically it, because I'm hoping, I'm counting on the people that were before me that they did okay. We left it outside for a couple years. Nothing's really broke out anywheres. It was full of snow, full of water. If anything was going to break out, I'm hoping that it would have showed me. So basically, I'm just going to knock this down a little bit, knock the fiberglass down a little bit to the primer, and go from there. Then I'll knock the next one down and I'll carry on. Looks like I got enough in there. This is where the holes were welded up for the chrome. Basically all I'm doing is going to feather it off to the primer and call it good. And you can tell that it's really gripping good to the primer because the way it's feathering off. It's feathering off perfect. Like, it's not pulling off, it's feathering off. There's a difference, believe me. Now I got a little tiny bit for filler. So what I've done is fiberglass the area that was for the chrome. I got a little tiny bit for filler. I'm down into their filler now, and I'm feathered off with the primer. So I'm going to leave it like that. I'm happy with that. On this part here, it had like a rust breaking out. I thought it was a hole, so I put some fiberglass on it. Now I'm going to smooth it off until to this stuff, and I'm going to feather it off until it feathers off around here. And then we'll go with some filler if need be, which it probably will be, because most fiberglass, you would never prime most fiberglass because it's porous. It has too many pinholes in it. And that right there shows you what I mean by that. See all the pinholes in that? And there's the ocean floor and the ocean floor and the ocean floor. So it's kind of telling you how close I am. Trying to get enough out of it, that's all. Holding it flat at all times, not digging at it. Ocean floor. Tells you how thick I got it, right? You know what I mean? You can't go any further than the ocean floor. Got a place over here where we weld the marker light up. I say I generally don't like to sand this stuff, but where I put it on first and it's thin, well then I'm getting it covered with the coat of fiberglass. Holding it flat, crisscrossing it like a block, so I'm trying to go all over it and trying to make it all flushed out. Did not want to put filler on this first and do what I'm doing now, and the reason being is because I want the protection that I can get. So I'll lay a nice thin coat of filler on top of it, and then hopefully it's finished. Exact same with the wheel well there, exact same with the door. When he did this, Aiden just ground out the filler that he had around the marker light, left it, and then after he welded on, then we ground it back a little bit further. Left all the filler around the marker light for insulation so it didn't warp anything. Should always feel it, see where you're at. I basically have it. So I feathered that all. We can see where we cut the filler out, and went all the way around there, how that feathered off, and it feathered off nice because I sanded it first. Exact same with that, that feathered off nice. Hitting ocean floor there, so I know I need more filler going on here. I'm holding it flat, it's hitting. So we're just gonna have to, when we grind this off, we'll put filler over this and this at the same time. This is gonna need filler here. We'll fill this all to one piece, but I wanna leave this fiberglass here for insulation. I'm gonna clean it back probably 1/2 inch on this door lip all the way up to there. I'll clean that off. I'll weld that all up. Then I'll grind it back a little bit and I'll refiberglass it and repair that. This here, I'm just going to knock it off a little bit and then we'll put some filler on. I'm going to hold this flat all the way along, take the heads of it off, roll it up a little bit, take a little bit off, and then we'll go for it. You can see how I'm hitting here already. You can tell where the high spot is. It's that filler right there. The low spot is where the hole was welded up. Ocean floor, low spot. That's where the hole, that's where, I got enough fiberglass in there. Ocean floor, where the hole was welded up. High spot, where the hole was welded up. Ocean floor, where the hole was welded up. Ocean floor, where the hole was welded up. We're going to leave it. Yeah, I want all that because that's where the seam of the weld is. I want that, and that's an indication I can tell when I put my filler on. There's not very much glass on there where the weld is. You can see I'm hitting right on top of where it's welded now, and the fiberglass is in the ledge where we welded it on. So I'm just going to leave that. You can see how nice that's feathering off on that primer. When I say that the body fill sticks better to the primer than metal, that's how I know, because when I sand it, it does. Could be on a little bit early, but I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm just keep going over that because I was at primer there before and I want to be back at primer again, that's all. Just want to get it off so I know the fiberglass is only as much as I need. Now, I know there was a high spot there in their filler because I'm holding it straight and I'm hitting filler. If you know what I'm trying to tell you. I'm holding this thing straight and I know that that's a high spot in the flood because I'm hitting it. I'm going through the primer and I'm hitting it. Now that's where the doors weld together. I want to be careful and leave some stuff there. Hole welded up, where the hole's welded up, where the hole's welded up. You know what I mean? You can basically see what's going on. That's what I was talking about, ocean floor. I'm done there. It's over. I'm done. Basically what I'm saying. Just knocking off the heads of the fiberglass right now. metal, ocean floor. It's close. Yeah, it's close. Got ocean floor right there, so we don't hit too much more of that. Feathering off there, so we're going good. What I'm looking for as I'm going like that, whether it's hitting on there or it's hitting there, I still got mate there, and it's not hitting the primer or the primer there, so I'm still good to keep going like that. And I know it's going to be straight because I'm holding it flat, other than I'm going up and down. I know I'm not going like this, I'm not going like that. Holding it straight, flat. Just keep it going, man. Feathering it off nice over here. That's feathering off nice. Just going to try to feather it off on this side. Crisscrossing it, so to make it cut a little bit better, that's all. Where it was going up and down like this, up and down like this, I'm getting all the grain going away. Once I change my pattern, then I make it cut a little bit better. But still holding it flat. It's like when I ground the weld off. I kind of did it in no time really, because when I ground the weld off, I laid my wheel on it and ran it across it, and it made a sharp edge. When it made the sharp edge, I turned the grinder over to the other side, and then I've got a sharp edge to work to grind the metal off or grind the weld off. Then when it gets dull, I turn it back over and I rub it again and I sharpen it up and then turn it back over to grind the metal off. Always thinking about what's going on will get you further than not thinking at all. Ocean floor, ocean floor. So we're basically in our seam where we want to be. I think I want to do that by hand. That feels pretty good, you know. I'm just going to have to skim that with filler and go with it, right? Like, I mean, I basically have the shape that I need. I'm just going to take and fiberglass is not that hard right this present moment. It's not a bad working thing. I generally don't sand it, but where it's so thin and where I'm doing what I'm doing, I basically have to sand it off. Ocean floor, you can see the weld marks. So I'm going to have to carry that weld a little further to get over that ocean floor. Low spot, but I'm going to weld this up yet, so I'm going to leave it, but I'm going to leave it for insulation for when I weld that up there. Ocean floor there, I know where I'm at. Let's knock a little high spot over here. Just trying to find metal, trying to find the ocean floor here somewhere, that's all. Ocean floor. Ocean floor. Ocean floor. Just kind of peeking out at me, and that's all I want to do. Peek out at me. Scratching the metal up. Make sure everything sticks. I'm going to blow it off. So you can tell that's going to need just a very thin coat of filler, just a swipe over top of that to make sure. See how porous that is? And I basically have to put a tiny bit of filler over top of that because it's got all the porous pinholes in it. That's why I have to do that. I'm running the air hose right on the filler and the fiberglass because I want it to get out any pinholes like that so I can find them. See how you find them, look? I blow that out. So what I'm saying is I've got enough fiberglass on there to do basically what I want done. I've got it, it's in the hole, it's in a little bit in the hole there, and it's feathered off because it's feathered off. You can see the primer. I got it, you can see the fill work from before, so I know what's going on. I've got the ocean floor, and it's still low there because you can see that it's not sanded. The reason I know it's not sanded because I held my DA flat. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along here and I'm going to mix up some filler, and I'm going to recoat the whole thing again and do the whole thing again and sand it with the DA, the 40 grit again. I'm not going to go down here yet until I get this welded up. I might come here a little bit because I won't burn that off welding that up. I'm basically going to stick on this area here, and I'm going to cover the whole thing until I make it all one playing field. I want one flood along the whole thing. And I would not have to cover it all, but I've got it welded here, I've got it welded there, 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 it's got a weld mark there, weld mark there, weld mark there, weld mark there, it's got it welded there. So basically, to make it all one, as we come to the other side, I covered it all one, and then I use the fiberglass filler and the ocean floor to tell me when I'm close. So you see what I got on there for fiberglass on the other side. So that lets me know. I can see the ocean floor right there. There's metal and there's fiberglass. So you can tell how thin it is, and you can tell how much you need. When I see the ocean floor and I'm holding it flat, I know that I'm done. When I see the ocean floor, I know I'm done. When I'm hitting fiberglass, I know I'm very close to getting to that protection area that I do not want to take off. Ocean floor, fiberglass on the edge. I got the door seam where it's welded up. I can see again all along here. I can see again. I got the fiberglass in here. The gas cover doors here. I can see fiberglass peeking all the way around it. Basically, that tells me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the other side. You can see this one here. You can see the fiberglass outline where that was. Then you see where I got the filler on top of it. And that's basically what's going to happen on the other side. See, there's the fiberglass where I filled around where the hole was, or the marker light was, and I swiped it with filler more than I needed. Then I took it down to the surface that's there. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks very much for coming back. Thank you everybody for coming back. That's what I'm doing. I got all the rust off it, basically. Any rust that I do not have off it, I will take it out to the sandblaster. There's some rust on the top of the edge of the fenders going along there where it bolts on. I'm not going to try to get in there with a stripper wheel. That's where I can sandblast it. I say I don't talk about sandblasting panels, but I can get in there and sandblast that lip. The bottom of the lip of the inside the door, I can sand that, sandblast the inside the lips I can. Underneath the trunk lid and all the lips around I can sandblast if I want it to. But basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get some filler on this. Maybe tomorrow when I get some filler, I'll get some filler on it. I'll show you how I buff it off and how I go about it. And also we'll do something with the roof and show you how I grind it off, sharpen my grinder disc, and then sand it off. And it basically can speed up the process of grinding if you're paying attention what your grinder disc is doing. If you keep rubbing it the same way, and it becomes dull, you can grind for hours if you want to. I'm not into that. I like to get the grinder disc sharp somehow, rub it over the welds really fast. Once I get it sharp, then I turn the grinder over and I got a sharp edge to work with. And I'm always paying attention to the weld and the car, what I'm really grinding. Are we doing? Okay. There you go. That's the first step of me making it look like the other side. I've got all this to glass yet. You can see that's all going to be glassed, all going to be glassed, all going to be glassed. Across the roof will be glassed, but that's the first step to getting the filler on. Thin the fiberglass out a little bit. You'll have a much easier time putting it on, and you can mix it to your liking. Also, what I do like about it, when you thin it out, it will run in the crevices a little bit better. Where it's so thick and meaty like that, it's hard to get it in around all the crevices of the weld. Where I thin it down like that, it runs in the crevices of the weld. Also, where the fiberglass is on the metal, you can see that it does not feather like it does when it's on top of that primer. It feathers better, body fill feathers better, it generally feathers better on top of the primer, and you have to sand it. Lacquer primer, it does not stick at all. So don't get it mixed up. If you're using lacquer primer and you want to put body fill over top of it, it does not work. Where it's the two-part, where it's a polyester primer, works fantastic. It works actually better than metal. Also, it works better than epoxy. It works better than it works better than all of them. The primer does. And take it if you like it, and if you don't like it, throw it away. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.